Now, for more on this, we are joined live on the KCBS Ring Central Newsline by Chris-Grollnek, retired police detective, corporal, and also active shooter expert. Well, Chris, so what happens immediately following something like this when it happens?
Hey, Shane, good to be on with you again. Terrible. It's under these circumstances, right? Right now, I think everyone's in shock, and they're trying to discern whether it's an act of terrorism, domestic terrorism, or international, versus somebody that just wanted to be a lone wolf and capture some attention. We've known for quite a while from the messaging, and warnings from the director of the FBI that there's domestic terrorism on the horizon and some type of terrorist cells here. We just need to figure out how to get those prevented. So the police that are on scene right now are investigating, starting probably with the truck, where it came from, because just because they have a truck with a license plate doesn't mean the owner of that truck is the assailant. They want to know where the truck came from, which they say it originated in Texas. Although it has license plates on it, they could have been switched. So they're trying to get to those investigative details right now and then find out a little bit more about whether this was coordinated or not. And I would suggest that with the three different facets of what we do know publicly, it's probably going to be more of a coordinated attack, which splinters the line between domestic and international terrorism on American soil.
Well, that's a very scary part to bring up there, talking about splinter cells, because we obviously don't know where they are or when they're available to make attacks like what happened this early New Year's Eve morning. Now, what happens now when the FBI takes over? What are they looking at?
Well, of course, they have broader jurisdiction. They have the ability to whether it's going to be a coordinated attack, again, from inside the United States or outside, whether someone crossed the border to, make this attack happen, if you will, and what type of support they had, whether material or other. And they'll comb the scenes where, it has a much broader reach than the local authorities or even state authorities in Louisiana. And they'll go to the tri-states around the surrounding states. And then the FBI will be able to reach back and find out how this person gained access, if they're a citizen, who funded them, where did they get the technical acumen to construct 1, 2, or what is reported 3 IEDs, how they had a silencer on their firearm, which is not being talked about a lot right now. And then, of course, the symbolism of an ISIS flag on the bed of the truck, flying as it went into this crowd. And it shouldn't be lost on anybody. I mean, our thoughts and prayers are with, of course, the victims, the families, the survivors, the people that will be affected by this forever, the 2 policemen. But more importantly, this has to shed a spotlight on prevention. We're really good at response. The police that responded, they stopped him. 2 of them got shot. They shot and killed him, stopped him from shooting anyone else. That's great. But what if we could prevent these so we don't need to do that? And that's really where the conversation needs to turn. And
that's what I want to talk to you about. So we always keep saying, if you see something, say something, from the Homeland Security, with the DOJ, with our local police enforcement. But how do we go about doing that? How do we go about protecting ourselves as civilians if we do not know what we're actually looking for?
What a great question, Shane. And, I remember speaking with you before about this several years ago, and it has evolved significantly. So what we have to do is we have to delineate between what's my responsibility and what's law enforcement's responsibility. So if we know that an event happens from 0 to 8 minutes, they start at 0 minutes, they end in 8. That's the national average over 25 years. These have been going on long more than 25 years, but just to encapsulate it a little bit for context. We know that if police are not on the scene, it takes them 8 minutes to get there. That means you and me, in the middle of an event, are on our own from the start to the finish, and no one will show up to help us until after it's over. Now, that is a statistical average and a historic look back. So we take that and we start incorporating social media monitoring, some type, without taking away rights or effectuating the Patriot Act even further. We can start looking at social media to say, okay, 90% of these people, 95% of these people say something before they do it. They tell you what they're going to do. How do we report that? Just like you said, the FBI has hotlines, the DOJ has hotlines, the CIA has hotlines, NSA. You can report these things anywhere. You can even report them to the platform's administrators, and they'll help you. However, we don't know where those messages go, and so many people are afraid to say anything because they don't want to be that person that's wrong, or like Nosy Rosie the neighbor in the 70s, right? So you have to really mix this with a little bit of citizen knowledge, a lot of police response, and then intermingle the technology that's there with some type of visual AI that is a detection mechanism of, hey, something's wrong, and sends alerts out, whether it's push alerts or other. If it's gunshots, it tells the police where the gunshots are. It's mapping, gets you directions of how to get there or get out. I mean, the list is exponential. There's 17 to 20 items that can make you as active shooter proof as you are fireproof in anywhere. We're just not invested enough to do that right now. And we probably need to make some type of logical step to 1, 2, or 3 common sense items to be as common as a fire alarm, a pull handle, or even a fire exit. We just don't have that for domestic terrorism yet, and we probably need to start talking about it, or we're going to lose all of our Fourth Amendment rights.
Very informative there. Thank you very much. That was Chris-Grollnek, retired police detective corporal and also active shooter expert. Sad day here for all of us, but still Happy New Year to you, Chris, and hopefully it gets safer as the day continues. All right, now